Hello, everyone. It's Brenda here again. Thank you for joining me for this podcast episode. Before we dive into the main topic, I just want to clarify something. I titled this episode, When Life Gives You a Tangerine. If any of you have seen the movie with a similar title, please know that this podcast has absolutely nothing to do with that film. It's not a film analysis podcast or anything like that. It's just that when I read the movie title, it reminded me of the saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So, when life gives me something, I try to adapt and make the most of it. That's the spirit of this episode. It's not a film critique. Lately, I've been in Hue. If you follow my social media, you probably know I moved here over a month ago. Life has been so joyful, so captivating. I love it here. I love Hue. The process of deciding to move here came with quite a lot of worries and concerns. My friend, you see, works in an office, and her company has different job levels. She's someone who gets promoted very quickly. I used to think that when my friend works at a big company, a large corporation, there will always be someone observing her to know if she's performing well or not. It's capitalism, everyone. They hire you to work, and if you're not doing well, they'll push you immediately. And if they push you and you still don't perform, they'll lay you off, they'll fire you. Everyone around me tells me I'm very talented, that I shouldn't doubt myself. Logically, I truly feel proud of myself. But in those quiet moments when I'm just with myself, I ask questions like, since no one is pushing me, no one is closely watching every moment of my life, every moment of my development, like when I work for a company, how do I know if I'm just standing still? I don't need to be a superstar. I don't need to be an outstanding celebrity. My only desire is to be a normal person. But I have a fear that when I'm just a normal person, I'm afraid I'll become mediocre. That is, I'm afraid I'll become complacent, that I won't strive. Striving doesn't necessarily mean progressing in my career. It could be progressing in living more mindfully, taking better care of my life. That's also a form of progress. In short, I have a very big fear of not moving forward, of myself today not being better than yesterday. I'm afraid of not improving. So I did something. I went back and listened to my old podcasts. I listened to my old podcast, My Divided Self, and I remembered. This isn't a new problem. I realized I'll have to live with this issue my entire life. One half of me wants stability, to live like my friend I mentioned earlier, with a stable job, building a family, growing. The other half wants to be free, to go to new lands, meet new people, have new experiences. These two halves are almost entirely unrelated. When I live as the first half, stable living brings so much peace of mind, so much comfort. But then I always feel like I'm missing something. The climax within me doesn't get released. It's like listening to a song where the drums are building up, boom, 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 ready for the chorus, but then the song never gets to the chorus. On the other hand, when I live as the second type, free and wild, I can't find stability. I don't get that peace of mind. Sometimes I get tired, and I feel like I don't belong anywhere. I don't know if I'm improving, and there's no one to validate it for me. My job is to learn how to navigate these unstable, uncertain times, because it will be like this my whole life. I won't choose to live as just one of those two types of people. I am both types, shifting back and forth. When I realized this, my perspective changed. Since I don't have the benefits of living the first way, I must maximize the benefits of the second. So, why not live differently? Why not live truly wildly, truly crazily? Because I'll never be as young as I am right now. As I get older, I'll only accumulate more responsibilities. So I made a decision that wasn't that crazy, but it was crazy for me. I chose to move to Hue to learn piano. And perhaps, since gaining financial independence, this is the first decision I've made where I've dedicated a significant amount of time to a hobby with no commercial value. Learning the piano is purely about learning the piano. With my current limited understanding, I don't see how I can commercialize this hobby. But the time I'm putting into it is quite substantial. Yet I just thought, who cares? I believe I need to live, I need to have these moments to understand the value of life, I guess. And so, I moved to Hue, and 1,000 times thank you. Hue has been wonderful to me. I managed to borrow a bicycle. This bicycle has a magical story, actually. I posted a story on Instagram asking if anyone knew where to rent a bike. My friend Victor saw the story, so Victor asked a friend. That friend asked a lady. And that lady asked a French gentleman. The French gentleman had a bike and lent it to me. So the bike reached me through 5 links in the chain, including me and Victor. There are days when I finish work, then cycle out to the Imperial City. It's so green, refreshing, and ancient. I put on my favorite music, and I feel like I'm living a fairy tale life with cool, fresh air. And the music is great. Seriously, I truly feel incredibly lucky to be born in the 21st century. Imagine this feeling. I wear noise-canceling headphones, and every sound in the music comes through so clearly. Every drum beat, every piano note, every strum of the guitar, violin, everything is heard so distinctly in those headphones. And I feel like I'm in a movie, cycling on a road all by myself. All the scenery around me, all the people have been blurred by a director. And I truly am the main character in my life in that film. I feel my soul dancing, my life is something real, and I'm truly touching it now. Then I started learning piano. Oh my goodness, honestly, folks, at first I thought learning piano would only take about a month. 2 months at most. I figured piano was like typing on a laptop. You touch it and music comes out. What's so hard about that? But oh no, no, no. That was truly such a naive thought. Piano is incredibly difficult because when you learn it, your 2 hands play 2 different styles. When you hit the notes, the pressure from your hands isn't the same. My eyes look at the sheet music, my feet tap the rhythm. The right hand plays one way, the left hand plays another. It's the pinnacle of multitasking. I don't know what it's like for more advanced players, but at my current beginner level, when I practice piano, if I'm not 100% focused, if I'm not in a meditative state, I can't play it. It uses both the left and right brains simultaneously, and you have to truly focus to be able to play. And just like that, by learning piano, I've also learned to appreciate music more deeply. The reason I learned piano is because I love the sound of the piano so much. When I was little, my family had a keyboard. You know those old, short keyboards you had to blow into to play? I had one of those. When my school had a music competition, I was chosen to play and sing. But then my mom moved to teach in a remote area, so there was no one to drive me to continue lessons for the competition. And I had to give up my piano education back then. From then on, whenever I heard the sound of a piano, I felt such a fondness for it. I think it evokes a sense of regret within me that I could have practiced this from a young age and grown up with a very healthy hobby, but I didn't get that experience. So that's why now, as an adult with adult money, I decided to go back and learn piano, to allow Brenda's younger self to fully experience and learn what she wanted. Since learning piano, listening to piano music has become much more emotional. And the more I learn to appreciate it, the more madly I fall in love with the sound of the piano because I can feel the joy more completely. That's when I realized something quite interesting. Anything beautiful requires a lot of hard work, a lot of time and effort. For example, I love the sound of the piano, right? To create that sound, not even talking about how pianos are manufactured, but just the artist playing it, they have to study and put in so much effort. I'm only at a beginner level, and I already find it difficult. Secondly, the journey from liking the piano to loving it is also a process that requires a lot of effort. My effort was accepting moving to a new city, spending a lot of time learning and practicing, and truly understanding the beauty of the piano. So, I feel like any kind of love, no matter what it is, love between people, romantic love, or love for all living things, we all need a lot of effort. When I was younger and a bit childish, I used to ask my boyfriend, "Why do you like me?" He answered, "You have a beauty that really suits my taste." I freaked out. Everyone. What if I stopped being beautiful? Or what if someone prettier came along? Would he stop loving me then? I remember he said that the beauty he was talking about wasn't just external appearance, not the superficial things everyone could see, but a beauty that came from something deeper. For example, I really like your dimples, because you told me that everyone on your mother's side of the family has them. Your maternal grandparents fell in love at first sight because of each other's beautiful smiles and dimples. They married and had children, and all their children and grandchildren have dimples. I find that story very beautiful. So every time you smile, I find it incredibly sweet. Or, for example, the way you dress. You told me you love wearing loose linen dresses because you move around a lot and need breathable, sweat-absorbent fabric. You also told me you love anything related to sunsets. You love those colors. And when I look into your eyes, I truly see the color of a sunset. It's so beautiful, and this beauty is incredibly captivating to me. So when I talk about beauty, It's a combination of everything that makes you, from your experiences, from what you were born with, from the history that created you, not just your external appearance. I think back then I was too young to understand that. Too young to understand that sometimes affection requires a lot of effort to discover. It requires a lot of care, nurturing, and cultivation. I didn't understand it then. Now, we're no longer together, but I think he was one of the people who influenced how I perceive life quite a bit. But let's not get off topic. Back to learning piano. Because I started learning piano, I discovered that I can multitask. Before, I didn't think I was good at it because, I don't know, if someone made me do two things at once, I'd get confused, I'd be lost, I couldn't do it. When I started learning piano, after the first day, I realized you have to play with both hands in different ways, and I was scared I wouldn't be able to. But with enough practice, you eventually can. After learning piano, a thought sparked in my mind. I definitely have to teach my child piano from a young age to train their brain. Before, I read studies that said children who learn musical instruments are smarter. I didn't really understand how musical instruments related to intelligence. But it's true, everyone, I'm an adult now, and I feel like after learning piano, I'm much smarter. I focus more, I can multitask better, I appreciate life more, I see more beauty in life. It's also because I decided to move to Hugh to learn piano that I've had to live with a crazily busy work schedule. This morning, I finished piano practice, and my other work remains exactly the same. In the evenings, I even teach an online content creation class. Actually, the teaching time is only 2 sessions a week, 2 hours each. But the time spent grading assignments is what takes up most of it. It's crazy busy. Perhaps time, for adults, is an extreme luxury. If I want to take a break, I have to ask permission. Even though it's my time, I have to ask permission to rest. I have to buy my own time. For example, if I want to go out for 2 days, I have to complete all my work volume 2 days before or 2 days after to earn that break. And when people lack something, they cherish it fiercely, they're very frugal with it. For example, when I used to be in debt, I lived very frugally. Now that my money situation is more comfortable, I've shifted to a lack of time. Like this month, I'm short on time. And when I first moved to Hugh, my friend Sarah had a friend there, and another friend, upon hearing I was in Hugh, also came to visit. The 3 of us close friends met up, and I had to make time to hang out with them. But because I was so short on time when I was with my friends, I wasn't truly present. Physically, I was there, but my mind was racing with thoughts. Oh no, I have to grade assignments tonight. Oh, I haven't finished this task or that task. I wasn't 100% present, and sometimes I would even calculate with my friends, get annoyed with them. Like, we'd say we'd hang out for 30 minutes, but no plan ever sticks to the exact time, right? So, if going out for food or fun took longer, I'd get frustrated with them. Because if it took longer, then when I got home to work, I'd have to work late into the night. My friend, the one with the Bin Min bakery I often talk about, she's actually scared of me. She's really scared everyone. She told me, I see you living like this and I'm afraid you'll become a machine. Because I just work all day. Even when I'm out with them, I'm still in that mental loop of thinking about what I need to do. I'm not truly living, and I even forget my daily activities. For example, when I eat, I think about what to do later. When I shower, I think about how to get ready to hang out with them later. And when I'm hanging out, I'm already thinking about what to do tomorrow. That day, I was talking to another friend, and she said living like that is a cause of Alzheimer's disease. Because if you live like that, you end up not remembering anything. You do everything unconsciously. You don't let your brain truly remember anything. Every day, my friends try to come to my room to drag me out for at least 30 minutes. Honestly, the only moment of relaxation I have all day is when I go to piano lessons. I remember that day my friend took me river swimming. In Hugh, people often swim in the river. They put on life jackets and go in. Many people swim there. We went to a river dock. The children there were so adorable. They jumped into the river and swam. And even though it's an urban area, Hugh City life by that river dock is so poetic. Directly opposite that dock, the stairs leading up from our dock went straight to the church. You could see the church directly. It's a harbor where locals live and dock their boats for fishing. When we finished swimming, it was already dusk. As soon as I stepped ashore, I saw the church lights switch on. In the dim, fading light, the lamps began to glow. Suddenly, I felt a strange sense of peace. Even though my life was incredibly crazy and busy at that moment, I suddenly felt a peculiar calm. I felt as if a higher power was standing there, protecting the people in this area, protecting transient visitors like me, and I felt so at ease. I walked a few more steps up towards the church, and there were children playing decow in front of it. The lights at the church that night were beautiful. It had the innocence of a countryside village, yet also a cinematic quality. In the churchyard, there were lampposts with soft, orange light, very gentle and lovely. The little children were running around the flagpole, swinging on it. I truly wished I were a director at that moment so I could capture those beautiful shots. That scene was as beautiful as a classic scene from the movie La La Land, everyone. Then I walked around the church, and my heart felt a strange peace. No matter what happens in life, no matter the chaos, the craziness, I am here now, having these moments of tranquility, and everything will be okay. As I mentioned earlier, to love something requires a lot of effort, and if you want to love life, it's the same. To love this life, you also need a lot of effort. Effort to live, effort to grow, and effort to experience that life. Hue is quite hot this season, and to experience hue, you have to go out. That's a bit difficult for me because I really hate the suffocating heat. Staying indoors, scrolling through TikTok, and sleeping in air conditioning seems more enjoyable. But I decided that since I'm here, I need to experience life. Some days, I don't need to go far. I'd be working, and then I'd decide to take a short break. My room is on the 3rd floor, so I'd open the door and look down at the surroundings. A space filled with green. There are many banana fields around, fruit trees. On my balcony, there's even a long pole I can use to pick nearby fruits to eat. I can also hear birds singing. Sarah, the friend from the Bin Min bakery, told me that Hue is a very special urban area. People don't call it a city, but rather a rural city. It's half countryside, half city. The people of Hue divided into two, the North Bank and the South Bank. The South Bank is the vibrant entertainment area with more nightlife. The North Bank, on the other hand, is where the ancient imperial city and citadel are. There are city gates, so large vehicles can't enter. And construction projects aren't allowed to be built higher than the imperial city. So it's not urbanized with towering buildings. It maintains a very ancient, old-world charm. Sometimes, just cycling around inside the citadel, I feel at ease. I feel happy and in love with life. I often go to the imperial city because there are green trees and pedestrian areas there. Perhaps my favorite place in Hue is the imperial city. I love it so much that my students from the last course recently came here to meet me and the other mentor, Dean. I took everyone to the imperial city, to my favorite place. Actually, it sounds like my March was a terrifying and horrible month, doesn't it? I think it was only terrifying and horrible in terms of the sheer volume of work. But in terms of emotional experience, it was incredibly rich, and I absolutely love that feeling. Teaching is wonderful. First, my coworker, Dean, tells me my strengths, things I might not have seen in myself before. Now Dean makes me sit and reflect on why I do those things well. It's been so long since I felt such admiration and pride in myself. Suddenly, looking back at what I've accomplished, I realize how capable I am. So, it's wonderful first because I have a wonderful colleague. Secondly, when I sit down to create lesson plans, I have to reflect a lot on myself. Let me explain it simply. For example, normally when you sing, you just know that for a high note, you need to take a deeper breath. But you do those things unconsciously, right? However, if I want to teach someone else, I have to try to define and explain those unconscious actions of mine actions that seem instinctive, but are actually the result of many lessons learned through blood, sweat, and tears. Fortunately, for our first course, we had wonderful students. At the end of the course, Dean and I provided individual 30-minute coaching sessions for each student, offering guidance and answering their questions. Dean and I were moved to tears when everyone expressed how valuable they found the course and thanked us. My vanity was satisfied because I felt valuable when creating value for others and being recognized for it. That feeling is truly wonderful. It was even more wonderful when people came to Hue to visit me and wrote me handwritten letters. Oh my goodness, they gave me gifts and handwritten letters, and I read them and just cried and cried. Being a freelancer like me means some months are super busy and some are super free. For example, after I finished the course, the consulting project I was working on also concluded at the same time. So, I had a lot of free time. At the end of March and beginning of April, I had a wonderful week traveling to Quảng Tri, Quảng Nam, and Quảng Ngai with my friends to visit historical sites. Everyone, I'm honestly not someone who actively seeks out historical information, but I grew up in an environment with so many patriotic people. Both my maternal and paternal families had members who contributed to the revolution. My mother was an excellent history teacher. My patriotism gradually developed, and after trips like this one, it grew even stronger. Our first destination was the ancient citadel of Quảng. My family had a relative who fought there, and to this day he hasn't been found, nor has his grave been located. When I came here, I felt a rush of emotions. Everywhere we went, we had a guide, a narrator who told us in detail about the historical stories, and I cried with every word she spoke. After that, we went to Truong Sun Cemetery. Imagine the feeling. Everywhere you look, there are graves. Some graves don't even have names. I felt more clearly than ever that our nation's history was written in blood. The cemetery was so vast we couldn't cover it all in one morning. I traced the tombstones of each province. The graves are grouped by locality. For example, Ha Nam Nin is one section, Than Engi Tin is another. I traced and read the names on them. Most of the soldiers died very young, almost all of them were under 25. After that, we went to Hien Luong Bridge, the place that divided the country into north and south. Then we met a flag maker. He was a flag maker during the war. He said that back then, he was very sad because his friends were telling stories of fighting battles while he was just sitting in one place sewing flags. But later, he realized the honor of being the one who sewed flags for the fatherland. But what I found incredibly moving when I heard him speak was that in the past, soldiers considered protecting the country an honor, something to be proud of. They knew they might be shot, they knew they might die, but they were still ready to charge forward. They even felt sad if they couldn't go to the battlefield with their friends and had to stay home to sew flags. Hearing him say that, I just cried, everyone. Then we went to Quang Nam province. Our time in Quang Nam was quite limited, so we could only visit Mother Thur's monument and the museum dedicated to the Vietnamese heroic mothers within the monument. Mother Thur was a mother who sacrificed 9 of her children, 1 son-in-law, and 2 grandchildren. In total, she dedicated 12 of her children and grandchildren to the nation. Her eldest son died just an hour before news of the victory on April 30th. Just 1 hour more, and the country would have been independent, but he sacrificed his life while on duty. Mother Thur lost 12 of her children and grandchildren. Her daughter also became a Vietnamese heroic mother. In the Museum of Vietnamese Heroic Mothers, there are many other stories, and if you have time, you should definitely go see them. Next, we went to the My Son Memorial Site. That site was an experience I think was the most horrifying of my life. More horrifying than any horror movie, because I never thought humans could do such things to each other. The site tells the story of a village that was massacred by the Americans. Over 500 people were killed just because they suspected there were communists in the village, and they were slaughtered. The story is quite heavy, so, if anyone is interested, you can look it up online. I don't want to tell it here because I think I'll cry a river if I do. After the tour guide finished telling us the stories of the massacre site, she reminded us, I've told you these stories so you understand how much our ancestors sacrificed for the independence we have today, not to sow hatred in our hearts. Not to sow hatred like, oh, the Americans did these terrible things to us. That's not the purpose. And throughout our tour of the site, she was very enthusiastic, always asking if we had any questions. Then she told us everyday stories about the site, about how the staff there cared for it, and how some families, victims of the massacre, were completely wiped out, entire families and clans slaughtered, so there was no one left to make offerings to them. So, the staff at the site themselves made offerings to everyone. I was happy to see people like her, who will pass on patriotism to future generations. I think her job is incredibly meaningful, super meaningful, so I asked to take a picture with her because I admired her so much. I asked to take a picture with her. After leaving the memorial site, we went to watch the sunset from a bridge I don't know the name of, but it was very beautiful. Looking down, there was a vast green meadow, and I sat on the railing of the bridge. I don't know how to describe it, but in that scene, the sun above me dyed an entire corner of the sky brilliant pink. In the meadow below, cows were grazing. The riverbank in front of me shimmered with the colors of dusk. A gentle breeze blew. My friend and I held 2 small flags and waved them. At that moment, I truly wished there was a hidden camera capturing those beautiful scenes, because I think it was so beautiful. If I filmed it myself, it wouldn't be natural. But if there were a hidden camera, it would surely be beautiful. My feeling at that moment was that I loved life and this country immensely. I felt incredibly lucky to be born at this time, when our country has moved past war, and I can fully experience the beauty of peace. I was endlessly grateful for life. I stood in that field and sang, and I ran and jumped, and I felt the earth beneath my feet supporting every step. Then I reached out to touch every blade of grass and every branch around me. I even had my headphones on, listening to music. Oh, it was a magical life. Then I went home and told my friend these stories. My friend said, "Hey, why is your life so fun? Your life has always been so fun. Why don't you start a TikTok channel and make vlogs?" And I told her, actually, I don't make vlogs not because I'm afraid of privacy or anything, but constantly filming and taking pictures of every moment in my life is really tough. For example, if I eat a delicious dish, I have to wait for all the food to come out to film it beautifully, right? After waiting and filming, then I get to eat, and the food is already cold. And there are moments when, instead of just enjoying the sunset, I have to film to see if I look good in the sunset, finding the right angles. Every moment has to prioritize the phone before me, and then I have to act too. If I'm alone, it's even harder because I have to set up a tripod and everything, and I can't fully enjoy my life at that moment. Or maybe it's because I'm not good at it, or I'm slow at filming and taking pictures. But yes, since I don't have that ability, I told her I just want to enjoy the moment. Every now and then, I come on the podcast and tell everyone about my interesting life, and that's enough. Recently, my life has been filled with so many wonderful experiences. I clearly see how much I've grown. I understand myself better than ever, and I'm very proud of myself. I feel happy like, yes, if I have a child at 31, my child will have such a wonderful mother. Her mother had a very joyful, interesting life, and she had her at a time that couldn't be more perfect. I'm so excited to teach my child all the things I know. I've also been taking many photos and writing a lot in my journal. Firstly, so that later I'll know how I grew up and what I experienced. Secondly, I want to show my child, this is how your mom lived her 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. This is how you came to be. I remember once I playfully asked my mom, "What if I choose not to have children in the future, Mom?" And my mom said, "If that's what you want, then it's okay. From my perspective, though, I want you to have children, not so I can have grandchildren or out of fear that no one will take care of you when you're old, but because I hope you can experience the happiness of being a parent." People often say that the parents' sacrifices are as vast as the sky and sea. But I think it's also because of having children that parents have such profound, happy experiences in their lives. Parents do it because they love their children. Children owe them nothing. And I think my mom is probably right. I don't know if it's because I've reached an age where I'm naturally inclined to have children, or if it's because women's hormones change at this age, and humanity needs hormones to change to continue the species, right? So, maybe that's why I want to have children, but I've reached a stage where I really want to start a family and have children. It's not like I want it right away, but I'm open to the idea, receptive to it. And everything I learn, everything I read, everything I consume, everything I do, I will always consider carefully. Is this okay if my child inherits these things? That kind of thought. Before, I used to eat unhealthily, right? Now, if I eat unhealthily, I think, oh no, if I put these unhealthy things into my body, will my genes become worse? What will my children be like? And then I suddenly think it's interesting. Before a human being is even formed, the idea of that person exists even before they are born. Like, parents choose who to marry, they choose someone with certain genes, intelligent genes, straight silky hair, or whatever. Then parents marry each other with certain intentions, with certain efforts to build the genetic makeup of a child even before that child is born. So, in short, this episode is just a rambling about a life where life gives me a tangerine, and I want to peel this tangerine and invite everyone to eat it. This March tangerine is quite sweet, sometimes with a tangy freshness, but overall, I know it's delicious, right, everyone? Thank you for being here and eating this tangerine with me. See you next time.